Hello, everyone. Welcome to FPL Jedi Show pod. This is Gameweek 8. My name is Hafiz, and I would like to welcome Azmin to the stream. How's your feeling coming to this? Can I say the last week before the international break?
Yeah, okay, a bit frustrated and annoyed. My fantasy team is going down, going the wrong way at the moment, and it's like, and to double up on the frustrations with Liverpool as well. Yeah, but VAR decision aside, it is what it is, and we just have to get on with it.
Yeah, I think this is interesting week definitely because last week featuring double game week fixture for Burnley and Luton Town, of which we can mention that probably later when we walk through the team. Okay, of which there might be some slight advantage whoever have got say the like Morris, but other than that, there's not much that the double game week 7 players offer. Do you agree, man?
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, it was just a bit, but because the main thing is whether or not you went for the captain on the double game week, because if you did, then it would pay out quite nicely considering the other most popular option or captain, which is Haaland blanked. So anyone who scores something definitely makes a bit of ground as well.
All right. I think the most talking point for this week for sure, mean because a lot of managers have activated their wildcard. So I think our focus for this stream will definitely talk about the wildcard. Okay. First point is we run through our team review on Game Week 7, talk about some match analysis of the result for Game Week 7. We will actually deep dive a bit in terms of wildcard strategy because people already talk about wildcarding this week. But if let's say you haven't decided to activate your wildcard and not sure which week that you're going to do, so we can just show a bit outlook for game week 8, 9, and 10 wildcard strategy. And then on top of that, we actually invited FPL Zhao or Joe to come into our stream, but he could not make it. But he actually shared us his wildcard team for us to discuss what is his mind and how he approached this wildcard. So this another uh, good manager like Joe already activated his wildcard. So means that we should not be shying to actually activate wildcard this week if we feel it is something that our team need. We definitely look at game week 8 fixtures. The captain pick, I think, interesting, man. For this week, we should discuss because I don't know whether that you will see what's the popular poll for captain pick for game week 8 and definitely our transfer plan for this week. So let's jump straight. I just want to mention our picture on the right side, Ollie Watkins. He is actually the main man for game week 7. So later we touch on him. So let's jump to my team first, man. Okay, I scored 53 points. I can say it's a decent week for me because the average points is 49. I should be thankful on that because some of the managers actually scored lower than that. So the 53 points at least give me a slight rank from 1.3 to 1.27 million rank. Total points 422. But you can see the player that performed for my team, I think I can say two players only. So actually Trippier continue his 80 points last week and he scored another one assist, clean sheet and 3 bonus points. Trippier did not disappoint. Can I say he already break the curse of the most transfer in player because he is the most transfer in player for game week 7 and he performed. So because this, the likes of Alvarez, Jackson, Mbomo, I think those kind of player, even Son, when he is the most transfer in, he did not produce, but Trippier has broke that record. Pickford continue to disappoint. Okay, 1 point over Turner, 3 points. Okay, Turner could be another option, but looks like if you're on wildcard, mean for sure Pickford will not be in your team. Uh, Gabriel is a disappointing players at the beginning when he did not feature for the first few weeks. But at least clearly now he's actually the one not going to feature in Arteta team. he at least got me that 6 point. But when you come to your team later, another Arsenal player who scored a double digit points. Kabore, a double digit, double game week players, 3 points only. Maybe minimum I expect 4 points, but no clean sheet from Luton Town, so only 3 points. Rashford and Bruno, I think this Manchester United asset were actually already enraged by managers in terms of performance. Manchester lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace, later we touch. Another disappointing. I think yesterday, is it the Champions League match? I did not know the result because I didn't have time, but Manchester United did lost that game again. So definitely a poor performance for Manchester United for now. And I think Onana is one of the culprit because of that result. And for sure, Onana will not be in our thinking. Madison 2 points. Yes, against Liverpool it's a tough match. But Son actually performed in that match, getting 1 goal. Mbomo continue to disappoint for the past 3 games. I think he's already blank. I can still remember at one point Mbomo is essential, mate. People need to have him. But now looks like that he might not be. And then Saka 9 points. Can I say disappointing in terms of FPL points? Because Arsenal got 2 penalty, and he donated it to Odegaard and then Havertz. So really, really disappointing. The non-owner should be thankful that Saka only scored 9 points. And then Haaland only he blank. But whoever brave enough to captain Morris, the double game player, Luton Town, he scored 10 points. So the 8 points difference there. So that's my team, man. Thankful. I have all my players, especially the bench. My backbone defender all play. If not, Estupiñán could come in for -2. Okay, so that will be disappointing. And there is some situation. People have Botman. He's now declared injured for the next, is it 1 month? And Estupiñán coming in to replace Botman. So that's really unfortunate for this kind of situation.
Yeah, so there's plenty of swings and hits and misses happening. Saka, who there was a bit of a doubt, and then actually people had quite a few managers had sold him because of that doubt, only for him to suddenly finding out he had trained and traveled with the squad. So it's yet another reminder. If you get early warning, it doesn't necessarily mean it's it. So don't follow the mob, and there is some merit in having a little bit of patience. And Trippier continues to defy the odds and do well, and also defy what I thought it would happen with Trippier. But so Newcastle are living up to their expectations of being a solid team. Just that the first few matches were quite tough compared to how they are now as their fixtures ease up. Obviously, some injuries to the likes of Barnes, Botman, and Wilson may play a role in their future matchups, but at the moment it's still looking good. So Gabriel finally also delivering for Arsenal. Although right now there is yet another worry, unusually, that because Partey is back. So what will that, with Partey returning to training, what does that mean for Gabriel? We're not sure. But another problem with Arsenal is the fact that Arsenal did lose in the Champions League as well. So it's a bit of concern as to what Arteta is going to do to shake it up. Coming to Manchester United, we talked about Manchester United, and they lost to Galatasaray. So it's a team that you would not expect Manchester United to lose, even though it is the Champions League. So, Galatasaray had no fear against Manchester United, and it's definitely something that's concerning. And in fact, right now, there's already been talk about whether or not Ten Hag is going to keep his job. But apparently, supposedly, based on the official statements, there's no discussions taking place in terms of that. So there's no issue there. Saka, of course, the problem with Saka did a job for those who kept him well done. And unfortunately now it does seem like he got injured during the Champions League match again. And a lot of accusations on Arteta that he's being overplayed because there is...
Okay.
Yeah. Nelson is okay, but is nowhere near Saka. But it starts to feel that they over reliant on Saka. So without Saka, although they scored first and then they ended up losing. So it's definitely something to worry about. Haaland blank was a big one. The thing with Haaland and Morris is that at the time the Burnley Luton double game was announced, Morris was being talked about as the most likely option, But as the weeks went by, the heat on picking up Morris wore off significantly. And to the point, especially those who had picked Alvarez the week before, decided moving on for Jackson. So you could argue that it was a bit of a chain effect where Jackson's getting his fifth cut prompted a lot of people moving to Alvarez. And as a result, that slot that was originally planned for Morris didn't take place. So those who went for Alvarez didn't take up Morris. You didn't. You held your horses, so you were well done. And Alvarez did blank, and then Morris came in and did well for you. So well done, though you didn't captain him. So, and also a lot of thing about captaining Morris at the start when it was announced, but again, that heat wore off as we got here, looking at Luton's. And so those who gambled it, well done, because Haaland not just blanked, his team lost. So to Wolves, what a shock that was. Yeah. And for me, I'm looking at your team and think, obviously you had a lot of some good triumphs with having Morris, Trippier, Saka, but for me, one of the biggest triumphs is not fielding Estupinian. So well done there.
All right. Okay. Let's jump to your team, man. You scored only 39 points. I think you took a -4, if I'm right. So there's some damage there for your team this week.
Okay. So Pickford, obviously useless. White coming good with a clean sheet and a goal, the last goal. So that's well done, White. And that is why bloody Arteta keep him playing at that in the right position, not as a centre back. Come on, he's a good attacking option. He didn't start out as one, but he is now. Cabaret, we all talked about. Estupinian, what a good. Losing a clean sheet, scoring an own goal. Oh, well done. Well done.
Start off at 45 minutes, right? Second half.
Yeah, well done. Because one thing, and it also shows how DZ is not afraid to shake things up early and make drastic changes. So by subbing off, he subbed off 3 players, including Ferguson and Welbeck. So 3 players subbed off just like that at the start of the second half. So that's something. Salah blanked, unfortunately. Okay, this one has been talked about, way overloaded in social media, and it's not something I care to really go into. I don't think that's a point.
It could easily another assist from Salah, right? If that Luis Diaz go right.
Yeah, unfortunately, and although we seem to be going well because Spurs were horrible, even after especially after Liverpool went down, but to 10 men, they were horrible. They just couldn't get through. So Liverpool just steeled up, and it was only because of some head rushing by Jota that they going down to 9. It was always going to be tough. The VAR thing notwithstanding. Yeah. So Eze finally got an assist that helped down Manchester United.
Finally.
Yeah, and now and that's it for it, because we're gonna have to sell him because he's now injured. So that sucks. Yeah, he's out for like 4 or 5 weeks or something. So that's it for Eze. Mbeumo blanked again, but if I'm not wildcarding, looks like he'll definitely stay in my team, and I'm still okay with Mbeumo, although he hasn't been performing on that. So my transfer, which was Ward-Prowse, and I captained him, so unfortunately he blanked, but I take consider in the fact that he did score more than Haaland, so okay, that's fine. So my double game week gamble for the week was Amdouni, Burnley guy. So in the absence of Foster, it turned out to be a dud. Even in the first match, he got subbed at half time as well, and second match he didn't do much either. Awani has not done much since the assist that I got him, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. And Haaland blanked. So got Turner, Rashford, who I hate as well. Looking at it now, it looks really bad, and I'm just trying to decide whether it's worth it to wildcard now or just get through the international break with and before I do my wildcard. So need to figure that out.
Yeah, just to point out a few things, I think well done, especially White. You consistently, at least he delivered when it matters because you feel him and got 40 points. Great for you, for sure. Um, What Frost captaining is definitely ballsy move. But at least, like you mentioned, he's got more than Haaland. He actually only got 3 points, I mean, but he got one bonus point if people don't
Yeah,
realize.
he got a bonus point.
Yeah. So that shows that he actually, in terms of API asset, he can deliver in terms of points, even though
Yeah,
he did not do anything, right? So he got one bonus
yeah.
point. Okay, because
Okay.
Bowen actually involved in that goal. Uh, Other than that, another move is benching Rashford. I think that also a ballsy move. And in terms of price, Amdoni is the cheapest, right? You also actually play him over Rashford. So because it is definitely another reason you play Amdoni because he played twice because he has that
Yeah,
double picture. So yeah, I can also see that. On paper, if I see like this, my heart, if let's say I'm happy, maybe with Chilwell, Gusto, and Rashford not performing, maybe my first thinking is to wildcard. But since you have not wildcard yet, so we can go through the strategy that we have in this deck for tonight, and then
yeah.
maybe you can have some feeling. What is it time for you to wildcard? My first feeling, maybe you should wildcard, but we see how. Okay.
Okay, yeah. It's there's a lot of factors. Gusto, he's going to be suspended for at least 1 week, but let's see what happens there. Yeah,
Right. Team
he's
of the week for
suspended.
Game Week. Yep. So team of the week for Game Week 7, no surprise. I think the top performer for this week is Ollie Watkins. He's got hat-trick goals, not only 3 goals, 2 assists some more. So that's why that 3 bonus points come. And if I'm right, that 23 points so far after Game Week 7, he is the highest scorer in a week. I think Watkins easily the highest. I think the second one
Yeah,
is 20 points somewhere when Haaland score hat trick. That week that 3 players score hat trick.
yeah.
Haaland,
So
Son,
yeah,
right?
except with him, he didn't just get hat tricks. He also got um
Yes, yes,
assist as well to
yeah,
go with it.
yeah,
So yeah, it's
yeah,
well
yeah.
done.
Yeah. So 144 points if you have these players. Johnston 9 points, clean sheet again Manchester United. Anderson scored that goal, 15 points. So we have Crystal Palace as set 2 representative here for game week 7. We talk about Ben White but I just want to talk about not Saka, it's Odegaard because he got that gift goal from Saka. Then after that, Odegaard also produced some assists, and for sure he got that 17 points. So
He got the
uh,
Ben White assist.
I got the Ben White assist also, right? Okay.
Yeah,
We have Kupal there, 12 points because he got 1 assist. Colville, Level Colville from Chelsea representative, not Sterling, not other player, okay, but Colville,
excellent.
4.5 million price. Uh, so that could be into thinking player who are actually wildcarding this week. Could he be one of the enabler or bench player that you can put there? And Trippier 12 points, no surprise there. We have another rep from Newcastle player, Almiron, 10 points. But the hype is golden, but at least he produced that assist for Isaac goal, if I'm not mistaken. But he was yellow carded. He's going to miss this game week 8. So will he be in wildcard game week 8 for consideration, although he's not playing? So that is another option. Dominguez, 10 points. From Nottingham Forest, right? Okay, it's not someone. I think he's new in the FPL. We have Watkins 23 points and Mori double game week players 10 points. Only he who actually produced from double game week players. So what do
Yeah.
you think
So
of game week
so
7 team?
yeah. So now it really is the case of when you look at the players of Almiron, and he's not one of the most popular picks in the world. White could definitely come back into consideration for those who are on a wild card. Obviously, maybe the initial matchup, which is against City, is not that great. But when you look at it, if Wolves are found a way to go past City, then maybe the Arsenal City matchup is not so bad. Except, of course, that you also worried because with the lack of Saka around. Um, the thing with the penalty thing, I just want to mention the fact that we didn't we already know that this could happen after what happened earlier in the season where where there was a penalty and Odegaard took it instead of Saka? So we knew already that it's not in set in stone that he's the penalty taker. He did take it the other day, but it wasn't. It was no longer something that was a confirmation. So
I
it's
just
not
want to
really.
put just to admin because I heard that someone mentioned about so far Arsenal have 5 penalties so far, 2 from Saka, 2 from Odegaard, and 1 from Havertz. So you can
Havertz.
see that.
So the Havertz thing, yes, it's just to give him confidence. Okay, so I don't expect him to take it, but then who knows? Maybe Havertz will drop in confidence again. No, the skills still no scoring goals, and we'll do it. But it was just to give him because you can tell what Arsenal were doing, and credit to Arsenal for doing that. Well, but at the expense of FPL managers worldwide. But hey,
No,
that's what's gonna
owner
happen.
like owner of Saka would definitely disappointing.
Yeah, so frustrated. You're imagining just how many points he could have gotten. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So other than that, Crystal Palace, Anderson and Johnston, Anderson maybe people there are a couple of people here, but may not have fielded him. But Johnston, because there were quite a few teams I saw who had Turner
Mhm.
and bench Johnston because it was a Manchester United matchup.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the Manchester United matchup not as difficult, no longer as attractive as it looked. So yeah, definitely something to consider moving forward.
All right, man. Just quickly, we run through the matches result from game week 7. For sure, I think the biggest one, easily the top one. Aston Villa 6, Brighton 1. It shows the capability of Unai Emery team, Aston Villa, that we should not overlook because they can produce this kind of explosive uh, goals, like 6. I think previously he also scored 4 or 5 goals in a game. So the people like Watkins, Douglas Lewis, uh, Diaby, people are looking at for sure on the in defense. The people like Cash who already increased in price. I think he is the hottest property if you're wildcarding this week. In terms of defense, Matty Cash, right? So
Mm.
in terms of key highlight for double game week 7, 5 home wins and 4 away wins, and only 5 clean sheets and 30 goals scored. But there's squid a bit because there an extra match because Luton and Burnley actually have extra match. We can see there. Other than that, another I think we don't expect Everton to lose to Luton, right? We expect they kept a clean sheet, but they lost to Luton 1-2. 1-2. We did expect Arsenal to win big 4-0. Okay, the result in the end, we can I say we don't expect Manchester to lose to Crystal Palace, right? But that's the result. That's why Manchester United continue to having a dismal form right now until it overflow to UCL matches. West Ham did not disappoint, although maybe we expect bigger than 2-0, but West Ham did win that game. Another shock was definitely Man City, who lost to Wolves. I don't think anybody, whoever bet that Wolves going to win with Man City, definitely got a lot of money. Spurs, Liverpool, we definitely expect a lot of goals. Okay, no denying, but marked by this VAR decision and also red carded incidents. Okay, so that's not perfect. But one point that we can take from that game, Son continue to score goal. So means that next week, which is this week, game week 8, people definitely thinking about Son to get him because against Luton Town. Other than that, I think Chelsea break their record of um,
Yeah.
unlucky because they finally win 2-0. I did not expect anything because my expectations are already not sure about when Chelsea going to, but they actually perform in this week. The next question is whether they can build from this. So that's another question. So, man, quickly on these results for game week 7.
Okay, so firstly, Aston Villa Brighton start, and that's an early kickoff. I think with all the stigma about early kickoffs, I think as Roberto Zervi and Unai Emery have basically made fun of that one with this crazy match. This was characterized by Brighton scoring that goal only to early in the second half, only after, with some brilliant subs, only to capitulate badly. So and this is basically marked the re-emergence of Watkins as a good possibly great pick again. So definitely something that we need to, consider. We talked about the Arsenal match. So Everton, uh, um, I don't know what to say with this one. It's just a case of why do I let myself fall into this trap again, thinking us Everton are finally good again, and again they managed to screw all most of us over. So
We fall
some
into the
it's a
trap.
lesson. Yeah, it's a lesson learned, especially for those who have wild carding. Definitely, bye bye to Everton. Manchester United was a shock. Newcastle, West Ham as expected. Wolves was a truly big surprise, and in fact, you could say that most because I actually started watching the match, and then the commentator was saying about how Wolves have a terrible record, Manchester City, and I don't expect that to change this week. Only for Wolves to throw the towel on them. Forest versus Brentford was disappointing, and because I thought that'd be more entertaining, but everyone was just playing the safe game, so it was not as great. So the Fulham Chelsea match for me, that was the shock of the in terms of the results after Wolves Manchester City, simply because I thought Fulham was solidifying, and I thought Chelsea were already all over the place. So yeah, that's it.
All right, fair. We go to the next topic, the wildcard strategy. I think this is the interesting talking point from this week. We want to discuss it. Based on FF Scout site, in terms of poll, when do you plan or expect to play your first wildcard? I can see there the first two already played around 35%, and playing in game week 8 is around 31%. People are doing it. I think around around 67% or 70% people already wildcard or deciding to wildcard this week. So I think that's a big margin compared to the rest, because some thinking about game week 9, some might not have any plan yet, so called. All right. But clearly there's a lot of managers going to wildcard this week. So for sure they already made a decision based on whatever they already seen for the past 7 weeks. They feel it's already a good data to decide and construct your team, because definitely they have pro and cons in terms whether you wildcard in game week 8, 9 or 10. So we just want to deep dive a bit. I extract an article from FS Scout, from FPL Mark, who actually put the pro and cons in a table for game week 8, wildcard 9 and 10 for us to discuss. I think there's really solid points in here, of which I also agree. We look at game week 8 wildcard, the pros definitely allows injury or the out of form player to be sold. Contoh like the allows injury, like your team, Chilwell, Botman, if you have
Ezzy.
Eze. Even now, if you have Saka and if you on the out, so you can take advantage of that. And the out of form players easily, like the Manchester United asset. If you triple up Onana, Rashford, Bruno, easily the wildcard could actually put you clean slate back and decide, because you already know who's the players to target. Helps team value. I think this is also good, because this player that you're gonna have, like people think about 9 or 10 to get the like of Salah, the like of Son. This player who actually wildcarding this week, they can take advantage and get this player, because Salah price already start increasing, right? 5.6,
Yeah.
Son 9.3, and you already definitely keep increasing. Whether you're gonna lose on the value when the time, if you let's say you decide 9 or 10. So I think it is also valid. To get them, this player is something essential to your team, you need to get them in. And also Spurs and Aston Villa positive fixture swing, so you can load up on Spurs asset for sure. You can take advantage of Luton Town this week punya game, triple up on Spurs player, Villa double up or triple up if you feel like Watkins, JB and Cash, they have value there. The cause is, I think, just to mention, is it rash? Is it major that I'm wildcarding this week? So you need to question yourself, because people definitely thinking about getting Watkins in this week. Before this, people are not really talking about that. Is it something major getting Watkins in? Some blocks, so-called, have a good game week 8 feature. So I just read out a bit what they mean about flop. Say Manchester United, they have some decent 2 matches coming So Brentford at home, away to Sheffield United. So that's where people mention, but ada some 2 game week before you shoot wildcard, maybe. And wildcard FPL means a must have quickly changes, yes. As we know, every week things are changes. This week essential, next week Mbomo not essential, those kind of things. So game week 8 wildcard. Quickly on game week 9 wildcard, okay. Pros, you can react to international break injuries. I think I like this because after international break, anything can happen. Although unlikely to have a lot of injury, but see, I mean,
Yep.
Haaland injured definitely will change the spectrum of your team for sure. And you have another week of thinking, another week of data to decide of game week 9 wildcard. Of course, the cons, price changes, especially when you're calling game week 8. And for game week 10, you have more time. You have like 9 week of data, which is better. Arsenal, West Ham, Brighton, fixture swings. So you can onboard Arsenal, West Ham, Brighton assets. But the cons, you're going to miss on your prices. And you could be punished for your loyalty to Bruno, Rashford, and Onana. Could be. So what do you think, mate?
It's a tough one, and yeah, I know, because a lot of factors have helped to push the wild card in. Okay, so we got Manchester United's total loss of form. That's one. I mean, although to be fair, we already saw that coming, but we were, because of the matchups, we think that it was okay. But then Manchester United Palace came along, and we thought that, it was the nail in the coffin that shows Manchester United assets are not great. If they can't even score a goal against Palace, it tells you something there. Then you have the Chilwell injury. So obviously some people still kept Chilwell on the bench. Let's wait. See, and then suddenly now he gets injured in training and he's out. Then you got the Saka injury as well. The emergence of Watkins, which I mentioned earlier, back as a pick, and there's plenty of things to worry about. And even City losing to Wolves, it's popped up a few things. Although unlikely, wildcard will not suddenly be without Haaland. I think that's unlikely. But then it also considers in terms of, because the people who had Manchester City defenders and or even Edison, and suddenly is that great? And also another thing is, when you look at the game week 8 fixtures, there are some, you got Arsenal and City players, they're going to play against each other, for example. So those who have Arsenal players, what are you going to do? Of course Saka's injured, but if Saka wasn't injured, but then in terms of the FPL pick, with him seemingly not secure with penalties, there's all these are reasons. And then you have Mbuemo, who people all had a lot, and he doesn't seem to be in form at the moment. So you can see a lot of reasons why people would want to wildcard, including all the injuries. Eze as well, a mainstay of people who were patient with him because his underlying stats were great. But again, he hasn't come forward, and now after assist, he's ended up totally losing, totally getting injured. So there's so many reasons, and it does make sense. Yeah. Although the problem is, when you give wildcard and game week 8 now, you run that risk of your players getting injured during the international break. But you're going to have to use your wildcard someplace, and if that's you've decided to, you're just going to have to deal with it and hope for the best when it comes to the international break.
Yep. I just want to mention some of the managers or even content creators already decided to wildcard. FPL Harry, who we know, Harry actually ends the season last year around 300 place in the world. So he is someone that I have respect, especially when he strategizes his team and he decide the time has come. And it's definitely team dependent. FPL Raptor also a decent finish last season. He also already wildcarded. From Scoutcast, Seb and Andy also wildcarded. We have know about S from FPL Black Box, also wildcarded. And our close friend from Malaysia, for sure, even FPL Zhao already activated his wildcard. So I think it shows that it depends on your team, okay, for sure. But you should not be afraid to wildcard, because there are some experts, so-called FPL expert, who decide it is time up for it. So for me, okay, as a general rule, I think in terms of feeling, I think game week 9 and 10 is where I'm gonna land my wildcard because it is safer after international break. If possible, I want to wildcard in game week 10 because game week 9, as we know, after international break, there's potentially like people arriving late, so he's not going to feature in the first game week after international break. We already seen in game week 5, players are missing like Estepina not playing. So if I can, okay. So what's your plan for now, in terms of wildcard? Where you see yourself doing that? You're on mute, man.
So I know my team is still in a bit of state, but I'm not really. I haven't activated a wildcard because, and I think if I wanted to take advantage of any of the price changes, I would have wildcarded already, but I chose not to. I feel that I can still afford to wait. Although it does mean I'll be without the bench, for the following game week. The advantage I don't have Saka, but I do have Chilwell and Eze. But I'll just be enough to feel the first 11 without and I do feel the international break is too risky for me to walk out unless suddenly there are more injuries, more bad news coming my way. Then definitely I'll be pushed into a wild card. But other than that, I just feel that I'm willing to wait and hopefully gain some ground in game week 9 when with a better wild card than the game week 8 wild card. For you, Hafiz, I'm looking at your team. Yeah, I can see why you feel you can afford to wait. You did score decent, 53 points, which is not bad concerning the field. And I think because you don't have Eze, you've already sold Chilwell, so yeah, so you don't have so much of that problem. It's more about whether you want to jump on the trends like Watkins, before that decision.
Correct. I think that's right. So I think generally, I think you still open to game week 8 wildcard, right? So it just see how it goes. If you need to be, so before that, you can do it. So I don't think there is any issue. Once you hear the team news, you see your team, and you can still decide. I think, so you can be flexible, right?
So I think what I'm going to do is, as once I get a lot of team news on that Saturday morning when we talk again, I would have drafted a wildcard that I might want to use if the need arises based on the team news that we get. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair. So we talk about wildcard strategy. Now we just want to see about what kind of draft that we can have. So we love to have Hafiz here now to mention how he approached his team, but he couldn't make it. But I actually get some how he approached this wildcard. If you see that Hafiz has tweeted his trade in terms of how he approached this wildcard draft team. I just walk through his team first before I go to the step-by-step approach. How did he decide his team? He has Arola and Amisa. Means that is a non-playing keeper, 3-pointer. He's really expect Arola is his keeper. Another option that people look at, having Turner and Arola combo, which what I'm thinking. But I also hear about Turner might not be safe being number one. I'm not sure, do you hear anything about this? That Turner plays in certain?
Well, if you knowing me, that I've always rated Henderson highly, and I do feel that Henderson will replace Turner as the number one. It's just that the other day he got injured in the.
Sorry, Henderson and Johnston at Crystal Palace. Sorry.
See that? Oh my God! I'm so sorry. I'm not the Greek guy.
Okay, all right. The second keeper.
The old keeper. Sorry, I got that wrong. Yes, because he has a lot more experience and definitely he's been there, done that, and he knows how to manage that back. So definitely there's still a risk there. So
that's why people mention about that. So I'm not sure about that. But if I still have Arola and Turner combo, but he decide not playing because he's gonna play Arola all in. I think is. I think I like that.
Yeah. So West Ham, which have been the decent package this season, so definitely it's something to look about into thinking seriously into having him. But Leno has been doing well, despite the Chelsea loss. But Leno is one of those who can rack up the save points, and that's something you definitely want to look at if you're not confident in clean sheets. Because if you remember, clean sheets was something that we looked at as hard to come by. We've given the change in rules for Premier League, the extended time given, you think the chances of clean sheets are much less likely. So that was the reason. So definitely I'm on board with his goalkeeping options. And we just maintain Ariola as the main keeper, right?
So we run through his defense. He has Trippier there, man. So he wants to invest into that Newcastle asset and getting the best asset of Newcastle, of which Trippier at 6.7 million, and go with Cash and Udogi as his second and third defender, and go cheap 4 near defender who is playing defender, to be frank, although they are not players that who you want to play every week for sure, and even not into your rotation team with Cash or Udogi, because Brent with Everton, you won't want to consider him to play, and Cabaret from Luton Town, but they go cheap 4.0 million, who is actually a playing defender. In terms of midfield, he has two Spurs players, so he triple up in Spurs player to take advantage of the Luton Town match. Same like others who are going to think about this week. Wildcard, Son and Madison. We have Salah there as a staple, 12.5 million. Consistency, but he break his record, right? He did not do any attacking return last week, right? So game week 7. Before that, he has performed. Bowen is also an option from West Ham. We do talk about West Ham swing after game week 10, especially. Bowen, not JWP. JWP is cheaper. Okay, by 1 million, I suppose. Bowen 7.2, who actually scored from the last game week, because I think he looks like the talisman for West Ham. Neto from Wolves. I think this is what people are talking about. I'm still not certain, man. 5.6 million. But he's come into fray, especially he has scored some decent points recently. Watkins, no surprise, after that game week 7 hat-trick, and Haaland still there. So 2 premium there. Umbama as non-playing striker, I suppose. And really, man, you can see the type of this budget, man. Nothing in the bank. So he really need to play with his budget, man.
So yeah, looking at the team, it's definitely a 3-5-2, obviously. So and the Neto is a shrewd pick, because one thing at the start, it was clear Neto was a threat, but then there was a concern that he seems to be the creator rather than the goal scorer. So now he's starting to show that in terms of goals he can do it. So definite, and plus the Wolves, because at the start it kept being that the substitutes were the ones scoring the goals, which made it hard to pick. So now there seems to be more stability, and the fact that winning over City, that's got to be a moral booster for any team. So at least you ride this current wave. So bringing on the Wolves play might be the way to go. Salah, yeah. So Salah, who was the last man standing in terms of consistently returning points, finally lost that streak and ended up with a thump, which is only 1 point. So, but it looks like I don't know why Salah is in there. One thing, because we know we know that after the international break, Liverpool's matchups are much more favorable. So that's obviously why. And you could argue that what happened against Spurs is like another spark that will really inflame Liverpool season. So definitely, I like buying into this romantic way of looking at things. But yeah, I think it definitely, we can see some heat going on there. I'm really looking forward to Liverpool. And the only problem, of course, picking other than Salah is always going to be a risk. And also, but another good thing is that we have TA back. So TA is definitely going to be there contributing, and will definitely help Salah's output, with his return. Other than that, Udogi, Cash, Trippier are from the 3 teams who are blazing it at the moment, at least in the last week. With Spurs defeating Liverpool, Villa trashing Brighton, and Trippier, help also, once again with that bonus haul. So it looks good. And West Ham, Bowen. So we remember last season there was a bit of a dip. We didn't think he was able to maintain from the 2 seasons ago, but looks like he's back and looks super confident, and I can see him really, pushing on as West Ham really look good this season, even with Europa commitments as well.
Right, man. I just want to say how Joe approached this draft, a step-by-step approach. You can see on the right side. He said first, fix core players. I just read out what fix the core player that he feels is his backbone of his wildcard team. He mentioned about Haaland. He mentioned about Salah, Son, Madison, Bowen, and Cash is his first core player. So he set up these 6 players as his core, and then Trippier and Watkins he rated as good to have. He mentioned about he's still unsure whether Trippier and Watkins should be in here, but it's something to have. But the core players definitely I did mention there: Haaland, Salah, Son, Madison, Bowen, and Cash. I think he will be in this team by the end of the draft. All right, so that's how he looks at it. Team with fixtures, because he sees that Liverpool, Newcastle, Spurs, Villa, and West Ham, who has fixture swing coming up, at least for 8 and for sure after international break. The talisman enablers is where he feels that he needs to have. When you talk about Spurs, talisman like the Son of Madison. Liverpool, we are not going Diaz, Darwin, Salah is the talisman, right? Man City, there's no one Man City players there except Haaland. So because Haaland is definitely the talisman. And for Villa, Watkins can be the talisman to an extent for sure. And if let's say you go for West Ham, Bowen should be the number 1, I suppose, right? So that's why he go for that talisman. He go for 90 minutes man. If I can see, he researched most of his player is actually 90 minutes man, except Son minutes are still uncertain, right, man? He's been stuck out to manage his injury.
Yeah. I mean the 90 minutes man. I mean, because we've seen Madison being sub, we've seen Son being sub, and even Salah is not immune these days. But they still. I agree with Joe in that it's they are the core people. In fact, if you could argue between Son and Madison, who's the talisman, I would say it's still Madison because he makes things happen. But having both, no big deal, especially with the moral boosting last minute victory over Liverpool. Watkins looks like he's returned to his job as the talisman for Aston Villa. So yeah, so definitely it'll be a good thing as well there. And Haaland, of course, we all know. I think it works.
Yeah. So the fifth one just mentioned, bench or no bench, because here with his current draft, he really cheap bench or no bench, so called. Bradford, Cabaret, or Mumbama, you're not gonna play them any other week. So he's thinking that these are the 3 players he mentioned that he thinking whether to play around: the Trippier, the Bowen, and Watkins, because he could go Bowen to Ward-Prowse, like you mentioned, and save some money there and to play around for his bench. Trippier could easily be another Newcastle defender, although you might not go for Botman because he's injured. You might go for Burn, 4.5 million, or Shaw if you want to save money and trust Newcastle defense, right?
Yeah.
And then Watkins, who you could go to Alvarez, still a decent choice, or you go to, if you trust Liverpool player, for sure, Darwin, like you mentioned, 7.4 million. So he's still contemplating these 3 players, but the rest, he should be stapled in his drafting. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I like the idea. And that whole concept of having quick score players that you're not going to move, so that you, at least when you plan for your transfers, because again, you're not going to have any wildcard left until 10 game weeks later. So you're just going to rotate around those, assuming no injuries to your core players, then I think it's a great way to go. Yeah, because so Bowen, Trippier, and who's the other one? Watkins, as the people who the ones who are more likely to suffer dips in form, compared and based on fixtures, or and let's not forget, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and West Ham are all players. Trippier, Bowen, and Watkins are all players whose teams have European commitments as well. So, definitely something that they need to manage.
Okay, man. So feels that if let's say you were currently, you could almost have like identical like IPL Zhao team, or what tweet that you're gonna make?
But if I was going to wildcard,
Yeah, say because you agree most of the points from Joe.
okay.
Do you feel that your cutting could be similar like this?
Well, okay. Liverpool and Brighton both have Europa League matches tomorrow night. So there's a good reason to bring in. We saw how Brighton conceded like no one's business. At the same time, we got a really angry Liverpool now going, getting ready to
Yeah,
rumble.
fair, fair,
So it
fair.
might be something to think about in terms of bringing those players in. I fancy someone like Darwin could really, push it up a bit. Push the temperature. So other than that, yeah, it's hard to agree with most of the team. Yeah, it's just a case of my only question, because you're tripling up on Spurs. Is that solid enough? I haven't checked internationals with the Sun is playing in Korea or something. That one we'll have to check as well.
Yep. And we still also need to wait for the team news because we want to hear whether Postecoglou want to mention about San managing his injury, right? So if let's say there is any doubtness, for sure I think San will not be in your wildcard team because you have this opportunity to think. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's go to game week 8 fixture, mate.
Yep.
Okay, all will happen this week, starting with the first game, mate. Luton Town versus Spurs. So when we talk about captaincy later, Spurs are playing early kickoff for this week at 7:30 p.m. We have 4 matches at 10 p.m. Burnley and Chelsea. Everton versus Bournemouth for sure. Whether Everton back-to-back home, they lost to Luton, now playing Bournemouth, who are actually in the same form, can I call? So whether Everton can actually win this game is another question. We have Fulham versus Sheffield United. Okay, we have Manchester United Brentford. I think this is also a very delicate match because Manchester United are really desperate for form. Okay, and on paper, so-called they can win because Brentford has been awful, but we know Brentford, especially when play the big team, they can turn on.
Exactly.
Uh, at 12:30 a.m. on Saturday midnight, we have Crystal Palace versus Forest, and then I think easily also Brighton versus Liverpool, an important match because both lost in game week 7. Main Brighton lost big against Villa, and Liverpool, with all the controversy with Spurs game, they really won this match. So I think this really interesting game. It will be an open game for sure. We have West Ham versus Newcastle, also definitely a game tough match on paper. We have Wolves versus Villa. Villa on really good form now, but Wolves already recently win against Manchester City. So we'll see how this game. And for sure, the biggest easily game we 8 headlines: the Arsenal versus Man City. So what you can mention about game week 8 fixture, man?
Right. So West Ham Newcastle, that's such a fascinating matchup, against two teams that inform playing in Europe, and but it is a reason why although obviously it was a mistake not to bring in Newcastle assets past 2 weeks, but to bring them in now, I feel like West Ham are not the pushovers
Yep,
that they
yep, yep.
used to be. So it's going to be an interesting one. Wolves versus Villa. Wolves are now with their tail up. Will be after they manage to surprise City at home. They'll be thinking that Villa could be someone that can take as well. And remembering that also Villa need to win their Europe match because they will want to bounce back, so they may focus some energy on that Europe match tomorrow. Manchester United Brentford, yeah. This last week they played against Palace at home at the Theatre of Dreams, lost. Midweek they hosted Galatasaray, lost 2-3. So this is the third home match in a row where you can't deny the pressure that the United players are in. ETH is in, and hey, if I was ETH, I'd be benching Rashford. Let's
Oh,
face
yo.
it. So you got Brentford thinking that we can, why not? We've been having bad form, but why can't we take United if other teams can? You got Onana, who's looking like nothing like the Champions League finalist from previous season. And definitely, there's also a lot of confidence issues, and I don't know whether there's any. We a while back we heard about some dressing room issues, and I don't know whether that's settled, and of course a lot of off-field problems that they've had. So I don't know what's going to happen there. It'll be interesting. Everton Bournemouth, one of those matchups to avoid like the plague, because you don't know what's going to happen there. And you can't trust Everton, and I can see why people just dumped Pickford like he's on fire. And even Burnley versus Chelsea, you can't figure that out. I'm looking at the wild cards. Are people picking up Chelsea players? No, but obviously because after game week 8, game week 9 onwards, Chelsea players were off the course. So obviously, I think this is when Jackson suddenly decides to score a hat trick, because he'll be back right this match. But nah, it's not gonna happen. So the only sure thing is that, and which is why which is one of the main reasons why people are a lot wildcarded, is that Luton versus Spurs matchup is just too tasty, and hence the triple up that we see in FPL Zoe's team, and moving forward, Spurs form as a whole.
Man, since you mentioned about Manchester United, Rashford, I actually checked back the lineup. Rashford sub out around 78 minute. Another sub off from Rashford, so it's concerning. And no wonder that people are transferring Rashford for Son. But I think if you have Saka in your team, you have to address that first, because for sure if he's out, I think he needs to go first. Okay, I mean that's my thinking for now. Let's go to Captain Pittman. Interesting, man. Always we mention about Haaland, but I actually get result from Football Scout site and also Fantasy Football Hub in terms of voting. Looks like FPL managers are picking Son as their captain pick for this week. I think there's no surprise, because Arsenal versus Man City on paper, and Spurs against Luton Town. But Salah also in the mix there, man. So I post there 3 players who can actually potentially be our captain pick for this week. But all are playing away, man. I just want to mention that. Spurs are playing away. Spurs are the early kickoff, man, for this game week 8. If there's still a factor. Brighton versus Liverpool, we know there's definitely angry Liverpool want to perform. And Man City, they want to bounce back from Wolves defeat, man. So what do you think, man? Is it a simple decision this week, or it's more than that?
I don't know. I mean, one thing. What was the matchup where we thought that Son was going to push on? He had tricked, and then Bournemouth, was it?
No, it's at home against Sheffield United, right?
Yeah, and he just didn't turn up. In fact, he was bad. He was quite bad. So which Son is going to turn up this one? It is the early match, but obviously when you're thinking of Luton as the promoted team, then yeah, all eyes are there, lah. For me, my money is currently on Salah.
Okay, fair.
For Liverpool against the volatile Brighton. Brighton, like Villa, I mentioned earlier, is they need to bounce back from their loss in Europe, and maybe they'll pay a bit more attention. Then Liverpool, I feel they're strong enough. They have the squad to feel a weaker side. Brighton obviously rotate like no one's business as well, but Brighton do, in terms of their defense, they are having issues there. The thing with Arsenal, Manchester City, while I haven't fully discounted Haaland as the captain to put for captain against Arsenal, because I want to put it into context that even though it looks like a tough match on paper, Arsenal they lost in midweek. They've lost Saka, so that might push them into defense. Then you got City, who are But let's say they're angry.
Okay.
You know, they totally did not expect that Wolves lost. You know, so you expect that to be a bounce back again against Arsenal, and where with Haaland leading the way. So obviously, I don't have Son, so I don't know if that's a biased
Are you
influence.
suggesting people like me who do not have Salah but say I have Son or Haaland, Haaland should be the one that you still consider? Are you saying that?
Yes, I'm saying that. So Son is definitely the pick simply because he's looks like he's secured in his spot as the number 9, and he's playing a promoted team. Yeah, but the thing with Haaland and Salah, they are of their reputation of a quality is there, so they can rise to the occasion in these matches. Yeah, and the worry with Son is that against Sheffield was a promoted team. Here comes Luton. So obviously Luton is going to knuckle down a bit. Uh, who did Son hat trick in the first last time? Can't remember which it was.
Can't
Um,
remember.
but but it was a case of the team playing against Spurs to the in terms of a high line. So we're not going to see Luton do that and allow Son to exploit that. So that may be a reason. Whereas for Arsenal, Manchester City, they think they'll have the personnel, and they may
It's a game Burnley. It's a game Burnley, mean.
against Burnley. Okay, so this is the third promoted side. So Burnley played with a high line against Spurs in that match, which was total to their to their death lah. You could say Sheffield learned from that and didn't do that at all, and Son didn't get anything whatsoever in that one. So that's something.
Normally trending that we're gonna see every week that Haaland gonna be captain by 7-8 million managers. Are you seeing that this week could be a different kind of managers going to Amber? Maybe Son could be the one that
Yeah,
captain.
honestly
Yes.
speaking, active managers, it's just hard to not to go for Son. So yeah, I think Son will definitely be the
Most
pick for
captain,
this
is it? Okay.
most captain for this week. For those all the wild carders will be captaining him for sure.
I think so. All right. Good stuff, man. Set captaincy pick. I think we can go to our team pick, man. How we
Yeah.
going to approach this week? We take a look back at your team. You have point
Okay.
4 million in the bank and one free transfer, right?
Okay. So let's so Amduri goes back into the lineup because Eze, Chilwell, and Gusto are all out. Okay. So let's say we play with that first 11. So it's a case of who do I want to bring, and I have 0.4 million, so it's not enough to sell Chilwell for Trippier. It's not going to happen unless I go Chilwell to Burn. Yeah. But again, I mentioned the Newcastle versus West Ham match. Not as attractive as it looks. So Awini versus Crystal Palace, I'm okay with. I think Forest can do something there. I will put Turner in instead of Pickford. So it's the case in terms of the transfer, because I was looking at Diaby, but Diaby's injured now, isn't he? So
Sounds like it.
yeah, so it may be just a Chilwell transfer to a defender. So another defender, I'm not sure yet. Yeah, unfortunately,
Which is
TA is
which is you can afford like 5.6 million and lower, right? Something like there,
yeah.
maybe. So the next basic is the bandwagon now is Matty Cash from Aston Villa. But he played away to Wolves. Still, this a match. I'm not sure. What do you think, man?
Yeah, so cash definitely is the option, and because whether or not I feel then if cash comes in for Chilwell, then I can put Kabore on the bench, because Estepinian, despite his -2, it was an own goal and he's half time, but I can
Yeah,
see Estepinian still being in the first 11. He's still better, yeah,
yeah.
than Lamptey. You can't trust Lamptey because he gets injured very quickly.
All right. You see how you're feeling by the end of the week, because you still flexible enough potentially to wildcard anyway. All right. So let's go to my team. Okay, just walk through my team. Pickford versus Turner. Although Pickford has been disappointing, is playing home against Bournemouth. I think looks like I'm gonna play him. All right. Despite Turner could actually a better option away to Crystal Palace, but we know Palace also decent at home. Right. We have Trippier away to West Ham. I think Estupinan against Liverpool at home, and Udogi. I think he's going to come back because Spurs already have two tough fixture against Arsenal and also Liverpool. All right. I have Rashford, Madison, Bruno, Mbomo, and Saka. And then I have Haaland and Morris. In the bench, I have Gabriel who playing Man City. So I don't think I'm going to play him, even though over Estupinan, even though Liverpool could be still open game any, but Estupinan could have attack rated. Cabore against Spurs. Yeah, we know Spurs can explode again promoter side, and Osla is not non-playing me. So my thinking right now is to bring in Son if he's declared fit. And Son should come in whether for Rashford or Saka. But if let's say Saka confirm injured, then I'm going to stick with the Manchester United asset. Saka need to be out. I have the money to fund that Son move, and I will have triple Spurs players, of which that's what I've been planning for the past few weeks. I still remember my plan from game week 5, 6, 7, and 8. 7 Morris, 8 is it Trippier, right? Sorry, 5, 6 Trippier, and then before that I think is it Madison? I forgot that move. But if Saka is fit, even though against Man City, I'm gonna play him, and Rashford will be out. I think I'm gonna start with Morris against Spurs. We just never know, man. Luton could actually score against Spurs, so that's my feeling.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, home, when it comes to these lower level teams, I think home is a factor. So so he can score. They will lose, but they might have a chance to score. Is your captaincy staying on Haaland?
If I'm bringing Son, I suppose I'm going to captain Son.
Okay. And I mean, the thing is with your current, I have no issues with your current. If Saka is injured, then Son just comes in just like that. The only problem there is that you're stuck with both Rashford and Fernandes for the week. So, but it's something we're gonna have to see what happens to them, whether or not they have the balls to come back.
So means that I'm gonna take my transfer. I'm not gonna roll into game week 9 because the possibility I'm wildcarding in 9 or 10. So I want to utilize my transfer for sure. I hope I don't wildcard in 9 because I already mentioned about why after international break. Hopefully 10, but I'm still flexible. If necessary, I need to wildcard in 9. I will definitely do it. Okay, I think we already run our team, man. And there's no question for this week. I just mentioned about the deadline for this game week 8 is at 6 p.m. because the early kickoff at 7:30 p.m. Malaysian time. Luton Town versus Spurs. Okay, and also for everyone who joined our stream, hit and subscribe to our channel and support us in terms of FPL Jedi Show stream. So, what is your last word, Wayne? Coming to the last week before international break. This is where we need to perform, right?
Yeah. So good luck with all the wild cards out there. Plenty of time. Make full use of all the price movements to optimize your pricing. And again, team news is always important. There's still a lot of European matches going on, which can impact not necessarily you pick those players, but it will impact the matchup. So definitely you need to take all those into account.
All right. Okay. So last word from me. I think if you feel your team need to wildcard, I don't think you should hesitate to do it, and don't let anybody tell you differently, because that is your team. And if you feel that you just need to do it. Okay. And but if you feel that if you thinking you panic because everyone is wildcarding, but you feel your team is okay, then you should stick with it and plan moving forward. I think that's the best advice that we can tell me, because our team is definitely different. Even though maybe if you study in terms of Harry team or rep 30 maybe identical to your team, but he decides wildcard, but you feel confident, say you have triple Manchester United and you still want to give another chance to get Brentford before international break, then I think by all means you do it. Okay.
Yeah, it's really just about your team. You know, obviously with a lot of wildcarders, you'll be tempted. Oh, I want to join the crowd, but do you have to? You really have to, look at that on an objective point of view. Look at your team.
All right, thank you guys for joining, and see you again hopefully on our deadline stream, because last week we missed that stream. Hopefully we do it again this week. Take care guys.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.